Hey everyone, Yika here. Today we're going to get you started with the RallyMobile SDk, your go-to stop for seamless Web3 development on mobile. Remember to go over the dashboard overview video. I'll briefly touch on it in this video, but ensure that you watch the full video for more details. In this tutorial, we're going to be building a cross-platform mobile application using Expo and TypeScript. This is strictly for iOS and Android, no web support. So if you're building for iOS, ensure that you have Xcode installed. And if you're building for Android, ensure that you have Android Studio installed as well. Before we begin to write code, let's go over a demo of what we'll be building. I'll be walking you through the functionalities of this mobile application. What you see here is a simple create wallet button, which when clicked, creates an EOA account for the user. The entire app is an EOA manager. The RallyMobile SDk enable mobile apps to have blockchain functionalities built into them without the need for the user to go through all of the configurations and requirements needed for typical blockchain application. We're talking separate wallets, private key management, signing transactions, and so many more. So I'm going to show you how this app works real quick. So once this button is clicked, you can see the creating account notification is going on. And so this is going to go on and our account is being created and everything is running in the background. Once it is done, our account address will be displayed to us. So as you can see, now we have our account address. The RallyMobile SDk just abstracts away lots of the complexity with creating and managing an account. So we're going to show you how we built this to get you excited about the really cool things you can do. And so before we get into development, we need to be sure that everything is in order. Ensure that you're running the latest version of Node.js. You can head over to the Node.js website to get yourself the latest version. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and install Expo. We're going to do that by pasting this code and running enter. So it is going to get us Expo and get us a template ready for that. For the sake of this tutorial, we're working with a blank TypeScript. We can give our app a name. I'll call it Rally. So our project is ready. We're going to cd into the directory we created and then open with VS Code. Our Expo app is looking good so far, but before we proceed, we need to get our Metro config set up. Metro is essential for previewing our app in the simulator because it is the JavaScript bundler for React Native. It compiles your source code into a single file, enabling efficient loading and performance in the simulator. So to do that, we're going to create a new file and call it metro.config.tsx. Now that our Metro file has been created, we're going to paste this code. This configuration ensures that Metro can correctly resolve .cjs files, which might be necessary for some of the dependencies in your project. It is a small but vital step that ensures your app built without any hitches. Our development environment is looking good so far. The next step will be to install the RallyMobile SDk. This is the bread and butter. This is where the magic happens. So let's get into that. To install the RallyMobile SDK, we're going to open our terminal and paste this code. Our SDK installation is good to go, but before we proceed, there are two very important packages that we need to have up and running on our application. The first one is Expo Secure Start. See, think of this as a vault for your app-sensitive data. We're talking about your password, we're talking about API keys, and so many more. It encrypts this data so it is stayed secured on your device and it doesn't live there. To do that, we're going to run this command. Now that is done, the second package we need to install is React Native Create Random Values. Just like the name sounds, it creates random values for our application. It is really important for when you need unique numbers for unpredictable data like encryption and stuff. And this is how we install it. We paste this code. So we've beefed up our security big time by installing these two packages. We're going to move to the next step, which is my personal favorite, actually writing code. So we're going to open our app.tsx file. This is where the magic is going to happen. I'm going to run a simulator so we can see what we are working with. To do that, we're going to run npx expo start. This is going to start our simulator. Now that we have our simulator running, we can move on to the next step. The next thing we're going to do is to create a private config file. This is a file that is very important for us to keep sensitive data like our API keys. Let me show you how it's done. You create a new file and you call it private_config.tsx. Once the file has been created, we're going to paste this code. So you're going to replace your API key with your very own API key. I'm going to show you how to get your API key in a second. So we're going to save this file and add it to our git ignore. We need to do this to be sure that this isn't pushed into our GitHub repository. We do not want to expose our API data. So we do that like this. We simply do that by typing out the name of the file and Git is going to ignore that file from pushing it into our repository. Oh, it's looking really good. I can move to the next step of generating our API keys. Let's get into that. So to generate our API keys, we're going to head over to app.rallyprotocol.com/signup. We're going to fill in these ID. And this is an intro into the dashboard we talked about earlier. Be sure to watch that video to get a detailed overview of the Rally Protocol dashboard. So you want to put in an organization name, and you want to put in your email address, and then a password. Create account, and then we'll go ahead and we'll create an account. So once you've successfully created an account, you'll be brought to this interface. Right here, you have your API tokens. We have two API tokens, one for the Polygon mainnet and another one for Polygon testnet, the Mumbai testnet. And that is what we're working with. So we're going to copy this code and move back to our private.config file and then paste this API key into your API key section. Let's show you how it's done. So here we are on our private config file. I'm going to take this out and paste my API key, save that, and now we can move to the next step. At the next step, we're beginning to build out our application. We're going to do that by importing a few things into our mobile app. So we're going to first import our private config file, and then we're going to import a few hooks from the RallyMobile SDK. We're making use of create account, get account, the Rally Mumbai network, and network hooks. We're going to save that. So the next thing we're going to do will be to import our API key so our mobile app knows to function as expected. We paste this code and we save. So the next thing we need to do is to create a few state variables that will hold our account details. We paste this code here. Now to get rid of this error, we are going to import the use state hook from React. Before we move into the next step, which is changing what we see on our application, we need to import a few things from React Native. That is pressable and activity indicator. We've successfully imported these and we can move on to the next step. So for the next step, we want to change what we have in our return function, which is going to give us a button that says create wallet. To do that, we're going to copy this out and paste this code. We have a few errors here, and we're going to address that. We're going to create a new function and call it handle press. Once this function has been created, we can no longer see this error. So what this function does is it creates an account for our user. As we can see here, it creates an account and then it sets that value into our set account address state as well as our set account state. And it also changes the value of our set account created to true. And now this part is very important because if you want to maintain account persistence on the user device by storing the private keys on iCloud, you can get rid of this. We're currently having this here, so it is easier for us to generate multiple accounts because of our demo. We still have some styles error here, which we can fix by pasting this code. And our app.tsx file is looking good. So we're going to save that. And now we have a nice looking button that says create wallet. But before we move forward, we need to rebuild our application. And we're going to do that by running npx expo start. So our application has been rebuilt and we're going to go ahead and create our wallet. So once we hit this button, we can see creating an account and our console here is logging that value, create an account. And then account has been created successfully and we have that value here. And that is it. We've successfully generated an EOA wallet on our smartphone. So to recap, we just built an EOA manager leveraging the RallyMobile SDK. We built a mobile app that abstracts away all of the complexities with blockchain account creation and management. You can find the original code repository with the packages in the GitHub link in the description below. So what's next? Stay tuned for our next tutorial where we talk about gasless transaction. Again, remember to check our previous video on the dashboard overview. Thank you for watching.